PR Connections Radio presents the Cause Marketing Chamber of Commerce brings businesses and nonprofit organizations together to create synergistic relationships that benefit the community. Join our tribe to network with community and business partners, increase sales, improve fundraising efforts, differentiate your brand, help worthy nonprofits, and more. Become a member today. Visit our website, causemarketingchamber.com, to see how we can help you grow your business or your nonprofit organization. Click on the Join Now button at causemarketingchamber.com. Help us build a world where social responsibility is the new bottom line.
Welcome back to Breaking the Silence After Midnight. What keeps you up at night? This is the podcast where sleepless thoughts find space to be heard. Now, I'm not sure if many of you out there know this, but I am a certified transformation life coach and founder of Legacy Lifestyle Coaching. Hence, I spent a lot of time thinking about how we navigate change. Not just the big, obvious changes, but the subtle transitions that shift how we see ourselves and how we show up for others and how we define the life that we're becoming. Now, in my book, Many Winnie Pearls of Empowerment, I often reflect on the truth that change doesn't happen, just overnight. It asks us to move forward. And sometimes it asks us to release our old expectations, redefine our roles, and adjust to new rhythms in our relationships. And so that brings us to tonight's conversation, focusing on life changes that shift our peace. We'll focus on major life transitions as well. Sometimes what keeps us up after midnight is not only just one dramatic event, it is the realization that life is just constantly changing. Friendships are shifting, time feels more limited, responsibilities are evolving, and then we begin to wonder, will I still be able to show up for the people that I care about? Will I still be able to show up just for me? How do we stay connected when life just starts pulling us in all these different directions? So tonight, my guest, Joshua, will be breaking the silence around the life's transitions that affect our sense of peace, our connections, and belonging, especially when we're trying to remain good friends, good co-workers, good family members, and good people while we're trying to navigate change. So before we talk about those deeper shifts, let's start with Josh, who we're going to find out a lot about his goings on after midnight, maybe in his brain. But Josh, tell us about what goes on with you in the daylight hours.
Thank you, Gail. During the daytime, my work week is characterized by, I'm a pharmacy technician at a retail pharmacy, and that position requires a lot of work, a lot of thinking in my feet. I focus on care coordination, insurance, safety and compliance, and it can be a very draining job, and oftentimes I feel like it's becoming something to move on. But beyond the work day, I have unfortunately I have a girlfriend who's very supportive. My parents live nearby, and I have a few other questions as well.
I see. Is it possible, Josh, maybe you could turn your volume up a little bit? Because it's a little bit difficult to hear. And
Okay.
And what I didn't understand, you said, and fortunately or unfortunately, you said I have a girlfriend?
Fortunate.
Just wanted to make sure that was clear because it initially that's what it sounded like. So it sounds as if with your job, you have a lot going on, and that's a lot for you to take into consideration because you have many the life of many people, you know, on in the balance with the kinds of things that you do. And so, just staying on a lighter note, have you ever had a moment, in your life that, made you think, wait a minute, nobody gave me an updated instruction manual for this version of my life?
Absolutely. I was first introduced to that idea about 25 years ago. No, it was the aughts, so about 20 years ago. I was trying to earn a teaching credential, and a fellow classmate mentioned that idea, and I probably could have used the training manual even before that, probably at the onset of puberty, I would say.
Yeah, didn't we all?
Yeah, but these days as well, moving forward as an adult, in the middle of my life, it's just not exactly as easy as I guess I hoped it would be to know what to do next, in terms of my career, in terms of my relationships. Before we jumped on this conversation together, I mentioned that my dad's not in the middle. So yeah.
And you mentioned when you were talking about, your dad having this, his medical emergency at this particular time, and you mentioned that he was in his 90s. And so the fact that he is, with you right now, dealing with these medical emergencies, do you consider that something that is affecting these transitions that you're going through right now? And if so, in what way?
Fortunately, my mom is basically healthy. She's a bit younger than he is. And so she is the main caregiver, basically. But his recent diagnosis of the acceleration of the aging process is difficult on both of us, in part because she works at a school and so the school year is about to start.
Oh, wow.
And and I try to be here if I can, but at the same time, I need to be earning money, and my dad didn't want to take me away from my main work. And even though the state does offer ways to help out at home and get for that, that's my understanding.
And so you're wearing many hats. You're wearing the role, of course, of taking care of yourself and your lifestyle with your work and so forth, as well as the role of caregiver, as well as the role of being in a relationship as well. So, do you feel like with each of these roles, do you feel stable in all of those, or are these roles changing, obviously?
I feel most people as a system two living parents. I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen if and when my dad, passes on to the next realm or stage of existence. My mom and I were kind of different. We were brought up in completely different worlds, different time periods. school came much easier to her. She's an accomplished, classically trained pianist. I don't know if I should have said both accomplished and classically trained. But
Yes.
she has a piano. She sings while she plays. It's beautiful, but at the same time, I'm not nearly as talented as her when it comes to music or other things like that. And school is much harder for me, and I feel like it's kind of the problems I had have made her feel like either guilty or that or she just enters every conversation with me with a opinion or attitude that I need help or that I should try to move with her if she ends up moving from California.
Oh, I see. And so you think this guilt comes from her feeling that, she's living a certain life of peace and tranquility, and, your life doesn't necessarily reflect that? Is that what you're saying, or it's different? Where does the guilt
No,
come
I mean,
from?
to an extent, I think it's projection. But I don't want to analyze, get clinical, like I mentioned earlier.
I understand. Yeah, yeah.
It's a little closer to home than I prefer to. Well.
Oh, I totally understand, and we can shift right now to how are you maintaining or interacting as far as your friends and coworkers and that kind of thing?
That's one of the areas that I could use an instruction manual for sure. In the North Bay here, one of the most expensive places in the United States to live.
That's a fact.
I don't have hardly any friends my own age. I have one friend who lives an hour and a half away in Sacramento. He's a little younger. And I have two older male friends. One who's much older and lives in Oakland. And then the other male friend lives in San Rafael, where we live in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, how you and I met. We met through Toastmasters.
Yeah.
And so, and I have realized that since I retired a couple of years ago, being involved in different organizations, like Toastmasters and, other things that I'm involved with, those have kind of replaced, my relationships that I've had when I was working. And even more so those that I had, just friendships, because, these kind of things take time. And so, when you look at the amount of time that you spend, with work and the different relationships that you have, do you feel that this is giving you stability right now, or do you see your life changing? Do you have a desire, a need to change things right now?
I absolutely have a desire to need to change things. Financially, not nearly as well off as I know I should be. It's not dire straight, but it could be much better, I think. And I think it just requires some focus and some confidence. And fortunately, I have some external people supporting me. And, my father and I, he's well. We get along pretty well. We played Scrabble earlier this past week.
Well, that's good, because that indicates if you're playing Scrabble and cognitively, there hasn't been, decline as far as your dad is concerned. Is that true?
As far as he's concerned, right?
Yeah, because that seems to be a major concern, with a lot of people, my age, because their parents are, or if they're, still with, are experiencing some cognitive decline as well. So, that's a good thing. And you'd mentioned earlier that your girlfriend is classically trained, and so music is a big
Oh
part
no,
of her
that's my
life.
mom.
Oh, your mom. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, so music is a big part of her life. Is it, you said are you musically inclined as well?
I love music, and I love listening to it. And occasionally, I go to concerts. But my best experience with music in terms of a student was at the local junior college, where they were teaching us how to read music, and we had access to the pianos at the campus. The teacher was just amazing. He was one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. But
Wow.
it was just selective, and I haven't had a lot of time to continue and develop and build on that.
But keyboarding or playing piano would be your principal instrument if you were to take it to the next level.
Ideally, and I could, I guess, get a portable keyboard, but I have a ukulele and a guitar. So
Oh,
those
yeah.
are a little more accessible right now.
Ah. So knowing that, then the next time maybe that you give a speech, you can incorporate maybe some
I
ukulele
haven't thought of
playing.
that. Yeah.
And on that same note, because I don't want to go too far away from what keeps you up at night, when we think about some of the strategies that a person could use to help them to sleep when all of these worries and fears come to light in the darkness, is music a part of that? I mean, how do you soothe yourself, so to speak?
Wow, I'm
to
glad
be
you
able-
mentioned that. And so focusing on that concrete challenge that affects adults, and I think it's affecting younger people these days too. I'm fortunate I don't have a TV, so I don't watch a TV. I occasionally watch a movie on my laptop in bed. But I'm glad you mentioned the idea of music, because I think it can definitely help calm you down and so forth. And I do subscribe to YouTube and Spotify, so I definitely have those options.
Absolutely. I am no stranger to insomnia. That's one of the main motivations for me to have taken my season 3 to What Keeps You Up at Night. Because like throughout my life, I've always had these bouts of not being able to sleep for whatever reasons. Sometimes it has to do with the stressors that go on and, during the day with my work and all of that. But it was just baffling to me that after I retired, didn't have all those, stressors for work. And, we're empty nesters. We don't have, children running around the house or that kind of thing, that I still would deal with the insomnia. And I play piano and I sing and, those kinds of things. But again, for me, if I put my earbuds in and, start listening to music and that kind of thing, it does help me to drift off to sleep at times. So, yeah. So that's been a lifesaver for me.
Well, one thing that I might add to the conversation there is I just bought this at a local bookstore, and it's a little journal, 5-year journal, and I bought it, I guess, on the third, and you probably can't see it. It just gives you like a few lines to write.
Mm-hmm.
So it's because I want to improve in my daily writing activity anyways. And so that's something I've been doing at night, but then I forgot to do it a couple of days, so I just did a little bit right before I met.
Wow, wow. Well, that's what they say that, well, first of all, they say that journaling does help as far as that's concerned because whatever is pent up in your brain that's keeping you up at night, if you just take that and then let it explode onto the pages, then after you've done that, then you can feel this sense of relief. And yeah, so that's fantastic. I have found too with me that a lot of my best ideas occur after midnight. That's how when I started writing, my books, the 52 quotes that are in Weekly Windows of Wisdom and Prompts for Purpose and Perseverance and Excerpts of Enlightenment as I do my mini commercial. Anyway, all of those, they just about all of them would come in the middle of the night. And then I would pick up my phone, which is, they say is a no-no, and I would, jot it down in my phone and then refine it, in the daylight hours. So it's not all gloom and doom when you wake up in the middle of the night, if you can find a way to really, soothe yourself by getting rid of those worries. So now, how did your life change most recently or have there been any life changes most recently that are positive that you might want to share with us?
The most recent positive changes have been reconnecting with Toastmasters and making friends there. And then I've had a couple of academic successes. I earned an associate in wastewater treatment, which I know is kind of a completely direct, so maybe a surprising direction, based on what I'm currently doing, and then also an associate in Spanish as well.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're progressing at a rate as far as the Spanish is concerned that you feel like you're on pace as far as that? I mean, are you making more progress than you had, let's say, 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah, more than a year ago. More than 6 months ago. It's a little harder to say, but yeah, I mean, as we sometimes hit plateaus, and then we have to maybe think about it differently and find a new avenue to practice and progress.
And your desire to become, more fluent in Spanish, do you connect that directly with your identity? I mean, do you see your identity changing the more fluent that you become? I mean, is your fluency required too for you to progress as far as your job is concerned, or?
It's definitely affected my identity at work. Before the pandemic, there were a lot more pharmacies, retail pharmacies open in Marin County, and now we have about half as many. There's no more Rite Aid. There's no more family-owned mom-and-pop pharmacies. Maybe there's one in West Marin, close to the coast. But basically, it's 3 or 4 CVS's and 3 Walgreens, serving the whole county. And the one I work at is right in the county seat, which is right next to the Guatemalan barrio. I mean, we just have an enormous number of speakers from Central America, and especially Guatemala and Yucatan area.
Yep.
So, yeah, over the past year and a half, since I've moved back from the Walgreens and the suburb to the one, it's kind of funny to me to think about it as a suburb, but downtown proper, it's really become useful to learn Spanish and improve it and practice it every day.
So in the role that you're in, you communicate with customers in Spanish or communicate with colleagues in Spanish? You're using it on a daily basis?
Yes, absolutely. There are two bilingual Guatemalan ladies that we work with, but we don't all work 7 days a week. And I'm one of the few who basically grew up in Marin, is college educated, and fairly bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm the only one that fits that.
Wow. Yeah.
The young ladies, one of them has a college degree, but she didn't necessarily grow up here, and she was young. And then the other one's younger than her, and she is really fast in terms of counting the meds, doing a lot of things legally, but her English is not quite as good, and she doesn't have a college degree yet.
But this should give you a real sense of job security then, especially since you say you're, the only
job
one.
security and remuneration are not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, as far as Walgreens goes, I mean, I was told explicitly that $30 an hour was what I could make in my position. They didn't say it, and they didn't think it was a negative thing either.
Right.
But to live in Marin, you need to make more than $30 an hour. And there are at least a couple agencies who take the livable wage into consideration. And I recently wrote that into my annual review. I feel like there's other places that are hiring for comparable skill levels and knowledge. And that's my accomplishment for the past year. I learned that I basically time to move on unless you guys can change your max pay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to say. I was trying to say.
That's totally understandable. And just to continue along that same front, the presence of AI and the use of AI in the workplace, has that affected your job and your job responsibilities and all of that?
It has and it hasn't. It made me excited that things would be easier sooner than later or faster. And our pharmacy manager, she's used it to try to translate and have consultations with Spanish-speaking population.
Yeah.
I don't know how legitimate using that is, but I've heard the way it translates and it seems accurate. The only thing is it's not reliable in terms of the connection and or similar to how we started today's meeting. Digital audio is not as perfect, and it sometimes picks up other people's conversations, so it's tricky, to say the least.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because a lot of people, they're having a lot of people that are looking for work that is comparable to the kind of pay that they need in order to survive are finding it difficult because of AI. Number one, in the way that people are applying for jobs, because there could be like thousands of people applying for the same job because of the way they do the intake of applications and the way they scan the applications. And then, people losing their jobs because suddenly management has decided, well, we could have one person do the job that 4 people were doing because we can use AI to make it more efficient, even though it's not as personable. So, these are just things, that are contributing to the life changes that we're all dealing with,
Absolutely.
and often keeping us up at night. So what would you say to someone who's listening right now, who's awake after midnight, maybe because their life no longer looks the way it used to?
Mm-hmm. Well, first I would say in terms of the job market and developing yourself for a career or along your career lines, it's important to join different communities and be active every week in some sort of group. It can be a learning experience, and you never know when a door might open up. As long as you are showing up and contributing, people will respond to that. Regarding AI, I was thinking about that might come up in this conversation, or just the whole idea of employment and fair pay. And that can be kind of a political topic, so it's important to try to keep politics out of the place of politics.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
I really appreciate this chance to talk with you today. I don't know how much more I can offer regarding workplace skills, where to find them, how to develop them. But I think you have to like what you're doing and find something that is both meaningful to you and sustainable.
Absolutely. Yep. And you say you don't know how much more you have to offer. This has been such an important conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to be open, to be vulnerable, to discuss the things that we talked about, because our audience, they're all everyday people just like you and I that struggle a lot with different things, different changes that keep us up at midnight as well. So I really want to thank you for being on our podcast today. And, we focused on the life changes, that really shift our peace. And so, just for all of my listeners out there, just know, even in transition, peace is still possible. It may not look the same, but, it is still possible. And next time, in my next episode, we'll continue this after midnight journey with episode 5, dealing with money, worries that speak louder than sleep, financial worries. And Josh kind of touched on that. We're all kind of dealing with the same thing. And so until next time, just give yourself grace for the transitions that you are navigating right now. And keep listening to what rises in the darkness. And as always, keep breaking the silence.
Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.